human.
What you just said.
Welcome back to the show.
What's that fool doing?
Y'all don't know football.
Yes! No!
I mean, pick your poison with that defense.
9 to noon. You like that?
Now, what did I do wrong? Just listen. Just listen.
Time for two more.
What in the ham fat is going on with you guys?
The Vikings.
You think it's funny?
Oh my God!
Ooh.
Thank you. Hey, have a seat for a second.
Oh, well.
Wow, wasn't that fun?
Holy Toledo! Hashtag Faith Radio.
Let's go. Let's go, everybody. Let's go. Good morning.
I knew we was going to beat them clowns.
Thank you, Minneapolis.
Isn't that something? Wasn't that good?
I'm here to serve you.
This is your smooth jazz leader, FM 100.3 KFAN, where it's soft and warm. It's the quiet storm. It's KFAN. And a pleasant good morning to you. I am Paul Allen with Nordo by my side. We are awaiting the arrival of Minnesota Timberwolves head coach Chris Finch. By Finchy faith, we commence this Wednesday 9 to noon. And by forechecking faith, we finish 9 to noon today at about 11:35 with Minnesota Wild head coach John Hines. A couple of victorious coaches yesterday, and indeed we begin with Chris Finch, courtesy of Second Harvest Heartland and 2harvest.org. Second Harvest Heartland and 2harvest.org. Coach Finch is on the board for said.org and joins us now from Nolans. Chris, good morning. And I mean, you had that 3-win operation every step of the way, didn't you, last night?
Yeah, you think?
I mean,
we made it harder than it had to be, and unfortunately, that's in our DNA right now. We got to shake that one off. And I liked the way we started. Mm-hmm. Completely lost focus and intensity in the second quarter, and let a team get rolling on you, and that's how it goes. And it doesn't matter, irrespective of anyone's record. And this from football and any other sport. These guys are good players, and if you let them get to do their thing easily, then it gets tough. So
with an 82 game season, and playing into overtime with legitimately, specifically when Zion Williamson doesn't play, one of the worst teams in the NBA record wise. Is it like you mentioned the NFL? Combating, analyzing, or looking at games from a fan or media perspective, game after game after game in November, December, stuff like that. like the NFL, which is a weekly enterprise, where, of course, you want to win. And if you had lost last night, this conversation would be dramatically more depressing, but not just taking things into perspective, recognizing the 82 games can be such a grind that there will be games like this, right?
Oh, for sure. No doubt about it. That's always going to be the case. Yeah. That's very well said. But, sometimes you do things to yourselves and sometimes you just don't have it. I thought last night was a little bit of the former. Again, I liked how we started and then we just kind of lost focus and then I felt very confident at halftime that we were going to win the game, but it's not a habit you want to fall into, where you have to dig yourself out of a hole on the road and rely on, overtime to get it done. There's a difference between a good win and a good performance, and you'd always rather have the good win, but long-term success is built on good performance, and that's what you have to try to mimic every night. As coaches, I think, I believe in what I can see and what we can repeat, and that's it. I'm not big into hope. I'm not big into just hoping it all comes together. Like I try to root ourselves in what we can repeat every single night. And when you have inconsistencies, you gotta get those out of your game. And that's what defines the different levels of performance in league, whether it's the OKCs of the world or a championship level or, the lesser teams. Like you're just trying to get to that next level. It's all about finding that consistency in your game.
I love how you put that, because antithetical to what I just said, habits can be developed where, like last year, there was a point where things were in and out. You guys end up going to the Western Conference Finals and had one of the best 4 teams in the NBA. But there were times we would chat about, is this kind of a put? Do these guys think it's a push button operation? And like you can get down 10 points to like 3-win teams, push a button, and you're just going to get back to the Western Conference Finals. And habits like that, bad habits, can be developed, and you just hope they don't rear their head at the wrong time, right?
Yeah, I mean, there is some fear of that at the moment, for sure, no doubt about it. And we've got to try to raise our standards. Last year's team and last year's struggles were completely different.
Right.
Our record was, I think we were 8-10 after 18 games. I can't remember what we were after that. This year we were 10-8. So we would flip that record on itself, but we probably could have been a little bit better at that point in time. Long season, we'll make up ground as we go along, provided we find that consistency that we were talking about. But the reality is, last year's team, we had a vision for what last year's team was going to be, and we worked towards it, and we stayed focused on it, and it eventually came together through struggles, through the transition of the trade, and all the things we've talked about numerous times. This year's team, we have to have a different vision. We know what our team should look like, and we have to be more consistent to that approach. And then we got to find and bring these young guys along in that and see who can help us when it matters and when we're going to really need them and what our team does need to get over that hurdle. And we can't just expect it to happen. And to your point, we don't want to pick up bad habits along the way.
Have crowds there always been so poor? I mean, even when you coach there and you had good players like Julius Randle and Anthony Davis, or, even back when Chris Paul was there. I mean, is it a good basketball market, or is it all Saints all the time?
It's a fickle market. When you're good here, they'll definitely come out. There's a lot of things going on down here on a day-to-day basis when it comes to spending your entertainment dollar.
Right.
Obviously, it's a big Saints town. You know how passionate they are about their football here. LSU, all of LSU sports gets a ton of support.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it's when we were here and we were winning games, they were coming out and there was great support.
How'd you get Julius Randle on that rookie guard Fears with a minute to go in OT? It's clear, at least from the outside, they failed to double for some reason. And that was the old ball game. But you got Randall on just a markedly smaller guy. How'd you do that?
Well, they were either trapping or switching the ball screens with Anthony. We wanted to try to get Julius going in the overtime period. We felt that, he was going to have a mismatch against the switch, or if they doubled, one of our best playmakers had the ball in the middle of the floor. So he did a good job, took his time, and put the ball in the basket.
Anthony with 34 in the second half and OT and 44 overall. Played the entire second half in OT. What are some keys to getting around those constant aggressive double teams he gets basically every time on the perimeter?
Yeah, well, the first thing that you have to do when you're being double teamed is you got to get off the ball right away. You got to, when they're putting 2 on you, that means there's only 3 left to cover 4. Right. And the quicker you make the decision to get off of it, then we move the ball and we're going to get a ton of open shots. And we did a pretty good job of that at times last night. Made a bunch of threes, especially when we were down, to tighten the game up. We hit Rudy in the pocket. And you just got to keep doing that. If they're determined to put 2 on you and not let you play, quote unquote, then you've got to keep making the right play, keep trusting your teammates, keep trusting the pass. And then figure out other ways that you can attack, whether it be in transition before they set, cut against the pressure, play off ball a little bit more and see if they're going to trap you, in the off ball actions, which generally they don't. So it's just, a combination of things. But when they're putting 2 on you, and that's what all the great ones do, you watch Luka play, you watch Harden play, it's effortless. They just get off it right away, and then it builds such trust in their teammates, and everybody makes the right play after that.
So that's fantastic. So obviously there are designs and schemes and plays, and you'll go over them with Edwards about, hey, this is going to happen and do this, this, and this. But eventually eventually it's incumbent upon the player to recognize where it's coming from, who it is, and make that quick decision, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And, to be fair to the situation, sometimes they'll trap them before the screen, at the screen, maybe after the screen with a late double. They'll trap them in ISO. Last night they were just going and getting him as soon as he came up over half court. So, it's the rhythm of it was a little different. Where it came from was sometimes different. But just has to, keep reading that. And, it's like a quarterback going through his progressions, but you gotta be early and you gotta anticipate that it's coming. And then whoever gets the ball out of that trap has got to move it quickly.
Do you keep making football references because my favorite team's lost 4 in a row and your favorite team just lost to the Bears at home?
No, I keep making football references. I love to make references across different sports just because I think it resonates.
Yeah.
It's, again, just to carry on, like, if you're being double teamed as a wide receiver, you're not going to stop running routes, are you? You got to keep doing your part to make the rest of the offense function, to open up opportunities for your teammates. Mm-hmm. And it's the highest form of flattery is when somebody's going to put 2 players on you to not let you play the game you want to play. You have to embrace it. Chris
Finch, coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves, victorious last night over the Nolans Pelicans, and those 2 squads meet again tomorrow down New Orleans way. What happened in the second quarter when they found 43 and led by 10 at halftime?
Yeah, transition defense fell apart. They got behind us in transition. Way too many easy baskets in transition. And that was really kind of the story of the second half. And the second quarter.
Speaking of defense, just perfect defense in my estimation. It may not grade out perfectly, but perfect defense by Gobert, right? On Derek Queen, end of regulation, forcing overtime. That was just fantastic.
Yeah, he did a good job of making him finish up over top of him. Stayed in front of him on the dribble. The young rookie has got a ton of game. He reminds me of a young Sengun from Houston. He's got a lot of skill, passing ability, post moves, counter moves. He'll have a developing jumper, no doubt about it. And they should be excited about him here. He's going to be a really good player.
Yeah, if they can get Zion, who handles it well, and Queen together for a bunch of games in a row, and Jeremiah Fears looks like he has a little bit of a chance too. Obviously, they'd be a lot better than 3-14, but it's. I mean, I can see what they're doing now, doing down there. Know what I mean?
Yeah, they got some good talent. I mean, we know how much of a handful Zion is. Thankfully, we didn't have to face him. For us, unfortunately for him, another injury. Gutted by that because he's just such a. I just really enjoyed my season with him. Really root for him.
Yeah,
such a unique player, such a special player, and that's two really gifted front court guys that can cause you a lot of problems.
Hey, Chris, back to that thing you said about Edwards and the double teams. So, when you say the best of the best, like Luka Doncic and James Harden, and how they just get off it quickly and make the right decision, will you show film and or tape or clips of other players to Anthony, current players, to be like, hey, consider this?
Once in a while, we might take some things from some other situations, irrespective of who the specific player is. We don't. Anthony is Anthony. He's not Luka. We don't want him to play like Luka. We don't want him to play like Harden.
Right.
We want him to play like himself. He's a great player. He's still on the rise, still learning a lot and getting better every single day. And these guys, they don't want to be compared to the contemporaries. They're superstars in their own right, and they should be treated as such.
Pretty cool to get a win, then a day off in New Orleans. Holy cow. I mean, such a cool city, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, great. I mean, I just really thoroughly enjoyed my time down here. So.
You ever stay at Hotel Monteleone?
I've never stayed there, but I have been there. Yeah.
Yeah, they got that. The one time I stayed there a few years ago, because I love New Orleans. It's one of my two favorite cities in the country because of the culture. I like the antique shops and things like that. Just a lot of things to do, like you said. But they got this really cool hotel bar at Hotel Monteleone. And it's like that. There was this 6-foot lady singing that Girl from Ipanema song when I rolled in there, and it was enchanting. I was just infatuated, and a lot of enchanting things in New Orleans, right?
Oh, no doubt about it. Carousel Bar is what you're talking about.
Yep.
It's, the bar actually spins around super slow.
Yep.
But it is, this is an amazing place. It's a very American city with a ton of historical influence that you can feel every single day.
You and Mike Nori, perchance, going to have a celebratory hurricane at the Carousel Bar sometime today?
That sounds like a great idea.
Oh, that'd be so much fun. All right, just a few more here for Coach Finch, Chris Finch. Thank you, Second Harvest, Heartland2Harvest.org. Take a peek at that website if you're so inclined, and assist, something that's very important to Timberwolves head coach Chris Finch. They, last night, size-wise mostly, but they had no chance against Rudy. He finished with 26 on 9 of 10 shooting with 13 boards, and he hit 80% of his free throws. I mean, with Gobert just bottled that one up last night, right?
Let's hope so. Yeah, but again, these are the things that happen. And I don't. You probably won't remember, or might not remember, but Game 5 in the Lakers playoffs series, Rudy had been offensively kind of quiet the entire playoffs. The Lakers make an adjustment. They decided to put 2 on Anthony in Game 5. And Rudy has a massive night. And this is what happens, when teams double team. Like, they're taking the bet that you're not going to get off of it, make the right play, so your teammates benefit from it. They're trying to take a specific guy out of the game, and it always opens up opportunities for other people. So, last night, Rudy was the beneficiary of all that trapping. And he made him pay, and that's exactly what you need to do, and that's the chain reaction of the decisions that you have to make.
Kind of reminded me of Bears backup running back Kyle Monungai up the middle against a team that wears green, just like powerhousing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know what you mean. I don't remember that.
Time for 2 more. Hey, seriously here though. Can it be tricky deciding between Julius, Nas, Jaden, and, say, Rudy down the stretch? Like Nas had some good offensive moments last night, but was the one on the bench late and in overtime?
Yeah, for sure. These are tough decisions. No doubt about it. But, I thought Nas played great all throughout the game. And then, he had played a really long shift. Had missed a couple shots. I thought maybe he was getting a little tired. We got him out. We put Julius in. Then with 2.5 to go, we put Nas back in to try to finish the game. Then in overtime, I just thought to myself, like, we got to get Julius in this game somehow. We need him. We're going to need him over this last 5 minutes. So came out of the timeout into overtime and gave him the ball right away. While he missed that shot, like he did make enough, made a couple of them, and kind of just played well at the right time. So we don't always get it right. You were spoiled for choice. That's a good problem to have.
Mm-hmm.
But the game before, we didn't finish with Rudy, and this is how it's going to be. And we have to have a understanding and maturity that's how we're built, and we got to play to that advantage to do what the game needs.
Well, lastly, this is our first chat since last week. For what it's worth, I thought you guys played OKC quite well. They ended up, especially late, they ended up getting the money. They won again last night. So did you get back to the hotel room and watch OKC Golden State, or was that not part of the bit?
Nah, I didn't watch any of that game. I followed it along on the score, but I didn't really dial in.
Right. They're just, it's a tremendous machine. I mean, that's about the only way to put it, right? And by the way, NBA on NBC is phenomenal. I mean, the halftime show, the whole thing is just so high end, but I mean, isn't the New York market a market that you want to capture? And that sucker began at 11:05 East Coast time last night.
Yeah. Well, that's their coast-to-coast product, right? So they have the 2 games on, one on Peacock, one on NBC. But I agree with you. It's great having them back in the fold.
Yeah.
They just bring such class to the game. And, it just kind of strikes a chord with all of us who grew up in that NBC era watching basketball.
All right. Enjoy the above-ground cemeteries today and bury the Pelicans tomorrow. Good chatting with you, Chris.
Thanks, PA. Take care.
Yep, see you about Chris Finch, coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves. Said Howell has won 3 consecutive games. And they hooked up with a pretty ratty team last night without its best player. Zion Williamson gave up 43 in the second quarter, but had them every step of the way, including at the end of regulation when that soon-to-be stud in the NBA, the Maryland rookie, Derek Queen, got a little goofy against Rudy with those nice big man handling skills and tried to win the game, but Rudy stifled him, and then Julius et al. Got hot in overtime, and those 2 teams meet tomorrow, back at it tomorrow from Nolans. Thank you, TimberTech. Thank you, TimberTech.com. What's on deck 9 to noon includes Heinze, our Minnesota Wild, the beloved Christmas colors in the holiday season, 10-0-2 in the last 12 games. And Edmonton with McDizzle and with Draisaitl and with Bouchard and Zach Hyman and all the right guys, they got shut out for the first time this season last night. Oof. Jesper Wallstedt, covenant clap, man. 4 shutouts this season, which leads the NHL. And his 4 shutouts are in the last 6 games. It just took 1 goal, and it wasn't the prettiest thing in the world by Jonas Brodin. But I'm really excited in a couple of hours from now to chat with Heinze. Brodin's defense on McDavid Mosley and Draisaitl when he wasn't on McDazzle, holy cow. I mean, that was an indefatigable effort by Jonas Brodin and the Minnesota Wild. That's 11:35 with Heinze. Florio joins the mix about 15, 20 minutes from now.
How does this bed has a freaking dead spot in the middle of it, and then a complete tone change? Yeah. Sorry about that. Bad production problems on my end.
There's no need to apologize because from the first note of these terrible songs, apologies would be required. So it's just part of the bit. It's not about the music. It's about those talking into the microphones.
Yeah, that's what we hear.
But, man, it's cool right now with what's happening with the Timberwolves and the Wild. We got some Vikings talkers in the middle of the equation. And we have Vikes Bites around the corner. Here, via 9 to noon, it is FM 100.3. Here we go, Paul! KFAN, good morning.
What up? It's Vikes Bites. Vikes Bites always presented by Thousand Hills Lifetime Grazed, grass-fed beef.
Dairy Queen.
And you can shop online. Box of meat shows up at your doorstep. Local Coburn's and Kowalski's locations, local co-ops. They're proud Gopher sponsors, and they're Clearwater, Minnesota's finest. Thousand Hills. Matt and everybody, love you guys. And I love the opportunity. Am I the only guy left, PA, that I'm kind of excited to see J.J. McCarthy play again? I know everything's down, the way that we're talking about things.
Oh, you know he's playing?
4-win team. Well, we got some news coming up a little later today. Well, I'm just kidding. The way I was going to start was just please be a full participant today, JJ. Thank you. That was the modus operandi that I'm looking. That's where I'm moving toward. I'm just excited to see him play again. I know the team has 4 wins. I know everything's negative. We're going to do bits that bite at 10 a.m. There is another side to this particular purple-colored coin. Yeah. I just want to see McCarthy on the field again. We got 5 games left. Let's find things to celebrate. I'm hoping number 9's good to go against those Commanders.
Actually and sadly, there's only one side to that purple-colored coin right now, and it's the tarnished side. Yeah. It's the one where, like, if it's a quarter, you can't see George Washington's head.
Yeah, it's a little beat up. It's a little dirty.
Yeah, so, I mean...
heavily scored.
I shared yesterday, and we'll pay off some of it at 10 o'clock today. I just, after Seattle, long travel, short sleep, broken buses, pros being lost, negativity with sarcasm on Monday... I just, with the kids and the tots there yesterday, I just didn't feel I feel like unfurling the verbal version of Saw. Yeah. 2 consecutive days. But no, we're locked and loaded for that 10 today. And this is basically going to be hey, if you keep losing or you keep doing this or you don't take advantage of this, here's what's going to happen. Oof. And do you really want to be part of that? Yeah. So that's the Vikes Bits that bite at 10 o'clock.
I saw this digital beat reporter for the Commanders. His name's David Harrison. His ex-posts have been used and aggregated in recent days and hours. The first post was Dan Quinn says there are functional movements that Jaden Daniels needs to be able to do to get back to playing. Did a bit of that today, as in Monday, and will continue with that through the week to see if he can play against the Vikings. He then quoted himself, posted, clarifying, Jaden Daniels still hasn't been cleared for contact, and it's going to take all the way to Friday before they can determine if he'll be able to go. So it's a 3-win team. They're
Seems
negative
like
in Capital City. But Jaden Daniels is efforting and he wants to play. Right. I'd kind of like to see Jaden this weekend. Would you?
Couldn't care less. They could trot out the skeletal remains of Billy Kilmer, and I'd still call the game.
Yes.
Let me tease you for the 10.
Oh, please.
Well, and here's the tease for the 10. The Vikes Bits that bite. Yeah. Where's the tease for the 10 for the con? Oh, yeah. Let's see. Historically bad numbers. Pittsburgh Pirates catch a stray. Oh, yeah.
Pirates.
Defensive ranks with yards per game of the next 5 opponents. Okay, so we're thinking Vikings offense. Yes. Looking at adversarial defense. The Washington Commanders, 31st. The Dallas Cowboys, 29th. Okay. The New York Giants, 30th.
I like that.
The Kitties, 14th. Mm-hmm. Blake Moore's team, 4th. So, long story longer here. Better make some hay over the next 3, boys. Yeah. Against Washington, Dallas, and the Giants, 31st, 29th, and 30th, giving up the old yards.
Well, and I guess I might as well do a 10 a.m. tease because my focus, one of them will be, I got a couple. We got 3 of the 5 games left at U.S. Bank Stadium.
Yeah, that's been great.
Well, that's historically for the Vikings. I'm 41, so I went from 84 in the Les Steckel season through where we are in 2025.
I'm curious to see how this works out because you may be stealing my bid.
Uh-oh. Well, can we win in front of the fans, please? Yeah. That's the key. Can we get number 9? You're going to probably talk about a particular quarterback finding a win at home. Can we just get, for the sake of those 66,000 people sitting in those seats with these 3 home games remaining, can we show them some success as we feel some success on the freaking field? You show up, you buy the $11 beer, you sit shoulder to shoulder between Fred and Ralph on either side of you.
Hey, Fred.
You want to see a touchdown and you want to see a victory dance, and we have 3 more chances to do it. And if we can get all 3, well, we'll finish 4-4 at home in 2025.
Getting 1 at home the rest of the way is imperative.
Let's get 1.
I mean, ain't no playoffs. Ain't no sunshine when anybody's gone. But we'll pay that off at 10 o'clock with Vikes Bits that bite.
So in the end, Aaron Jones in the shoulder, kind of wondering about that as practice gets loose today. Jonathan Allen against his former team. Does he care? Is that a storyline into the weekend? Just a couple of Vikes Bites to finish things up. Vikes Bites, always presented by Thousand Hills Lifetime Grazed, grass-fed beef.
Derek Queen. He's a beef eater. Mike Florio, ProFootballTalk.com. He joins 9 to noon around the corner at FM 100.3, KFAN, and good morning.
Hardcore football. 9 to noon. And he's PFT.
Alrighty, now, here we go. Mike Florio, ProFootballTalk.com, NBC's Football Night in America. Also, an author of several books, including his recent Big Shield. And Mike joins us now, Pro Football Talk Radio. What's the best way to give the book Big Shield as a gift this Christmas season? And good morning.
Well, good morning, Paul. It's great to talk to you. I've missed you the past couple of weeks. All you have to do is go to Amazon.com, type in the name of the book, Big Shield, and my last name, or Big Shield. Although, if you just type Big Shield, there is a chance that literally the search will return a big shield that you can buy. That does happen. So it would be helpful to include my name, Big Shield, $14.99 for the print edition, 99 cents for the ebook. So if you give somebody, I guess, an Amazon gift card, they could buy the ebook, but it's $14.99 for the print edition. It doesn't quite fit in a stocking. You have to roll it up a little bit like a really thick newspaper. Don't think that works. You have to go ahead and put it in a box or wrap it. And the other offerings are available as well. Father of Mine, Son of Mine, On Our Way Home, which is a Christmas/ghost story that rings very well this time of year. I've gotten more positive feedback about that one than any other because it's the kind of thing that just comes at the right time of year. It gives people a nudge to take a step back and maybe address some relationships that have become frayed, if not fractured, in their own lives. And it's a little nudge to do something about it before it's too late. And if it is too late, it's a way to help yourself come to terms with the fact that you failed to fix that broken relationship before it was too late to do it.
Amen. Now, I'm not logged into Amazon here, so I just went to Amazon and typed in Florio. Just to make sure, like when you type in Florio, the Michael F. Florio or whatever it is with NFL.com, just in case, like if he wrote a book that we're not getting him all the shine or anything. And even if you just put in Florio, Big Shield's right up there. On Our Way Home is the third submission. Then we get down to Son of Mine. That's pretty cool, man. Well, go ahead.
Yes. And I really, it's funny. The guy who works for NFL.com who does fantasy football, which I'm not a fan of, and that's fine. I've like gotten calls from people like, hey, is your son working for NFL Networks? Like, no relation. And if that guy wants to carry around a name that I have sullied, more power to him.
Yeah. What if a Nigerian prince calls you thinking you're Michael F. Florio and claims he has $40 million for you? Would you take that call?
Well, I've already taken calls like that, and my bank account has been impacted accordingly.
Of course it has. Hey, you mentioned earlier newspapers. Do you still actually read the physical newspaper? And the reason I'm asking is yesterday we had a big Toys for Tots show at a local store called Shields, where we're raising money for underprivileged kids. And
Big Shield.
And yeah, it was at Big Shields. And I had a couple of scribes on, or newspaper writers, Ben Gessling, who covers the team for the Star Tribune, Lavelli Neal III, columnist for the Star Tribune. And, we were talking about the potential complete demise of the physical newspaper because everything is online. If there weren't like newspapers or whatever to buy, would that impact you?
There is a certain irony in this life I've stumbled into and the impact of digital media on print media. I delivered newspapers when I was a kid, and it was an everyday, 7-day-a-week, kind of laid the foundation for the life I live now. There were no days off. You delivered the newspapers every morning. Sundays were gigantic, thick things that you had to make several trips from your house with your bag on the front of your bike, and the smell of the paper when you'd get the stack and you'd pop off the plastic wrap and fold them up and do all that stuff. So I've got a long and, for the most part, positive history with newspapers. But right now, it's funny. I used to, as part of my daily routine, I'd come down the stairs from the studio above our garage for PFT Live, and I'd stop at the door and get the newspaper. Not quite the full Tony Soprano in the robe walking down the driveway, but I'd get the newspaper and take it to my wife. She decided within the past year or so, you know what, it's a lot easier to just do the online thing. You read it's the exact newspaper. You just read it on your laptop, and it's been at least a year since we've gotten the print edition of the newspaper, and that's the way the world's going. Like, everybody now, instead of carrying around a newspaper, they get everything they need off of their phone. It's taken 30 years to kind of get here, but I'm surprised anybody has a print edition of a newspaper. There's still something to be said for having a newspaper, but that's for those of us who grew up with it. For the kids who have grown up with tablets and phones and screens, they look at that newspaper and it's like they don't want to get ink on their hands, and it's just a different reality for them.
PFT.
What do you make of the Carolina Panthers and the 7 wins after beating the Rams?
Well, they beat the Rams, they beat the Packers, they lost to the Saints, they lost to the Cardinals.
Wow.
They're kind of all over the place. And they've got to take what happened on Sunday against the Rams and build on that and keep winning. And they've got an opportunity to pick off the Buccaneers and win that division. I don't know whether or not a wild card is a possibility, because you look at second, third place teams in the NFC North, second, third place teams in the NFC West. Only 3 of those teams are going to get wild card berths. It's going to be hard for the Cowboys or the Cardinals to invade that party. I think the easier path for both the Cowboys and the Panthers, I misspoke, is to win the division. So, they got to keep it going. They got to be consistent. They got to win the games they're supposed to win. One sign of a team that becomes a contender is win the games you're supposed to win, and then win a half or a third of the games you aren't supposed to win. That stacks up to enough victories to maybe make things interesting. And this year seems to be more about laying the foundation for what they could do next year. I don't view them as a serious high-level contender, but their defense is good enough, and if they play like they did on Sunday against the Rams, and if they win the division, you get a team that has to come to Charlotte in January when it could be a cold, nasty, weather-factoring day. They could end up in the final 8 this year.
Hey, what Mike Florio, ProFootballTalk.com, what do these teams have in common? Detroit, Green Bay, Chicago, Atlanta, Carolina, the Giants, Tennessee, Buffalo, Miami, Tampa Bay, New Orleans, New England, the Jets, and Arizona. What do they all have in common?
Are you serious? You rattle off all those names and you want me to try to find a thread that goes through all of them? I have no idea. They're all in the NFL. How about that?
Ding, 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 nailed it. Those actually will be the teams the Vikings will play next year with a last place schedule. If the constituents, the adversaries, are able to stay in last place, where we're going to finish in the NFC North. So, last place schedule next year. Michael, what do you think about all that?
The last place schedule currently impacts 3 out of your 17 games. That's it. Yeah. And you have to play 2 games against whoever finishes first in your division, while that team gets to play 2 games against whoever finished last in the division. So the schedule isn't as smoothed out as it used to be. When they went with the current structure 8 divisions, 4 teams each. They came up with this rotation aimed at getting every team into every stadium once every 8 years. And, last year, and we've talked about this before, the NFC North teams benefited from this double rotation where you go through the 4 divisions of the AFC and then you go through the 3 other divisions of the NFC, and it lined up just right where the NFC North teams caught the AFC South and the NFC West in kind of a down year, and it fattened up the record. You look at the NFC West this year, they get the NFC South and the AFC South, and they're fattening up their records. That's 8 out of 17 games. That all flows from this big picture idea that we want to give the fans the greatest possible variety pack and get every team playing every other team at least once every 4 years. So I don't know how much it helps the Vikings next year. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I don't know. They got bigger problems, I think, than what their schedule is going to be next year.
So with the New England Patriots,
you don't want to talk about the bigger problems they have? You want to just move right on?
Hit on it. Go on. What's on your mind?
I mean, obviously, look, since 1968, the Vikings have had a handful, a 5-fingered handful of disastrous seasons, and this is one of them. Mm-hmm. Most years, the Vikings are competitive, and they stay competitive through the last few weeks of the regular season. And I say all the time that the true goal for any NFL team, it doesn't sound as good as saying we want to win the Super Bowl every year. What every NFL team should want to do is be relevant after Thanksgiving. You want to be alive in December. You want people coming to your home games late in the year when they otherwise have other holiday-related things they can do. You want the kids to put on their Christmas list for Santa that they want the jersey of the local football team favorite player or whatever other football team-related merch as opposed to the hockey team, the basketball team, or the baseball team. You want to be relevant in December. And the Vikings, far more often than not, are relevant in December. And it doesn't happen very often that the Vikings are just kind of playing out the string. And they've got some issues on both sides of the ball, mainly on the offensive side of the ball. Between the offensive line, the experiment this year didn't work, and I know injuries are an issue. At some point, you got to take a step back and take a hard look at training and conditioning and rehab, everything. Why is it that all these injuries are happening? Is it a fluke or is it a trend? You better figure it out. And then, obviously, we could go for your full show talking about the quarterback position, but next year, they didn't do it this year. They should have done it this year, and I suspect that folks within the organization would admit that they made a huge mistake by not having a viable veteran quarterback there to compete with or at a minimum push J.J. McCarthy. Job number 1 for next year, find a veteran who can come in and have an open, Colts-style Anthony Richardson, Daniel Jones competition to determine the starting quarterback. And it's either going to get more out of J.J. McCarthy or you're going to have a guy who can come in and pick up the Kevin O'Connell offense and be the thing that the Vikings are lacking most this year. Above everything else, quarterback play has been not nearly good enough, and that's the biggest reason why they're 4-8 on their way to 4-9, or maybe 5-8. But it's uncharacteristic. I think it hurts Vikings fans to see this happen because it happens so infrequently.
No doubt, and we feel that here 9 to noon with talkbacks and emails and correspondence and things like that. And I respectfully, with what you said about the veteran, I would make that the 1A, okay, but still very high. The 1, as we finish the final 5 games, is to get as close to you can in determining what you have with J.J. McCarthy. And if you lose them all, if you win them all, or somewhere in between, figuring out what you have heading into the offseason, then the 1A is doing what you said with a veteran quarterback.
Well, and there are just bigger questions about how they landed on J.J. McCarthy, because they could have had Bo Nix. They had the choice of either one.
Right.
And, of course, Sean Payton says Bo Nix is the guy he would have taken first overall, and a certain amount of that is predictable. Who knows what he would have done if he would have had the first overall pick.
Mm-hmm.
But, you got one guy who threw the ball, I think it was I had the numbers last week. He threw the ball 220 times in his last year of college, and Nix threw it another 150 times or more than that. just raw passing reps at the college level, and the mechanical issues, the one-pitch arsenal, the fastball, with no, touch. It takes away a lot of the intermediate stuff. There's no layering of the ball when it's fastball. You can't throw it over a defender, and you can't throw it through a defender. So you just have to wait until the guy's wide open and fire the fastball. Like, what did they miss in the evaluation process? And is this fixable? Are the I've been watching football for 50 years, and good quarterback play, we take it for granted because the guy's open, and what happens, Paul? The ball is delivered.
Yeah.
And the only question is, does the guy drop it? Like, it's delivered in the vicinity of the catch radius. And we've had too many of these throws this year where the ball has no chance of being caught on a guy who's wide open. And there have been some drops on top of that. But, between the accuracy and the fastball, I don't know that that's fixable. And maybe it is. And maybe you spend the rest of the year seeing if the light comes on. I know he said a few weeks ago that he analogizes the situation to a cork about to come out of the bottle. I mean, I don't know. I think the bottle might break before the cork ever wiggles its way out.
And depending what's in said bottle, we've all been left punch drunk by what we're seeing and listening to. Bo Nix is terrific, okay, and maybe there's not much separating Bo Nix and or Drake May. I think Drake May is going to be the league's MVP at some point, and the Patriots definitely are capitalizing off a last place schedule, but there's more into it for them with winning all these games. But I mean, the hindsight 2020 bit. It's if you loved Drake May, whatever it took, 3 first-rounders, 4, whatever it took to get Drake May, that seems to have been the right answer.
Oh, absolutely, and nobody gave the Patriots the kind of offer that would have been necessary to make that move. And,
right.
If they had known what they have, they would have hung up the phone like the Bengals did when the Dolphins were trying desperately in 2020 to move up to get Joe Burrow. So it's worked out well for the Patriots. And once you have that guy that is going to be 10 to 15 years, that guarantees that in December, your stadium's going to be full. You're going to be mathematically alive.
Right.
You're going to be playing for division titles and wild card berths and laying the foundation. And what really impressed me the most about the Patriots on Monday night, and whatever it was, whether it was, they were a little complacent against the Bengals and maybe could have blown that game, or it's Thanksgiving week and there are inherent distractions and you have to kind of prod the guys to stay focused, or it's just the idea, we have a chance to be the 1 seed and we're going for it. And the way that they were hitting, just the raw violence, the football violence, the legitimate legal football, impose your will on the other human being, it was impressive. And this is a team that senses it has a shot to be the number 1 seed and capitalize on the 2 home games that will lead you to Santa Clara for the Super Bowl. And they aren't getting, they're not like, oh my God, we're so high up on the ladder we might fall off. They're sprinting to the top of it.
Hey, what did you make of Lane Kiffin bolting from Ole Miss to LSU?
Well, I think that it's not a disease symptom of a deeper issue in college football where it's open season whenever you want to try to go hire someone else's coach. In the NFL, none of this stuff happens until the season ends. Now, there's always back channel stuff, and that's what amazes me about this, because that weird, clunky PR fight that emerged was Lane Kiffin wanting to stay and finish the job at Mississippi after he'd taken the LSU job. Why didn't they just have a wink nod for him to go to LSU as soon as Ole Miss is done? And then just do it that way? Like, why did they have to sign the contract? Why did they have to put it in writing? Why did they have to do it?
Right.
If LSU was already content to let Lane Kiffin stay in Oxford and finish the playoff run, why not just do it that way? I mean, Alabama waited for Miami's season to end 19 years ago for the hiring of Nick Saban. If you remember that, Nick Saban, I'm not going to be the Alabama coach. As soon as the season ends, boom, he's gone. But in the NFL, you don't have that kind of chaos where a team can swoop in. And I made this point. Think of how ridiculous it would sound if once the Bears clinch their playoff berth and, there's a game or 2 left in the regular season, all of a sudden, hey, the Giants may hire Ben Johnson before the playoffs start. And then Ben Johnson's just gone. and he's coaching the Giants, and somebody else has to take over the Bears for the playoff run. That is the apples-to-apples comparison. So it's chaos in college football, and we hear all the time about college football's in crisis. That is a load of crap. Look at what they're paying Brian Kelly to go away, $54 million, $91 million base deal for Lane Kiffin. That's $145 million tied up in two coaches, one who's coaching the team and one who isn't.
Wow.
There is no crisis in college football. That is all political spin. It's all BS, and it's all aimed at trying to spin the clock back to the days when the players aren't getting what they're getting now, because the people who run college football don't like it that the rabbit has the gun. And plain and simple.
Lastly, with a college football bent, Dion with Colorado, I mean, he makes a ton of cash, and Colorado had some disaster to it this year. He wants to stay, and he also does make a ton of money. Should he remain the coach at Colorado with no Shedeur, Travis Hunter et al., no longer part of the program?
See, this is part of the problem. These teams get a coach that may be desirable elsewhere, and they throw a bunch of money at the coach.
Yeah.
And then if it doesn't work, what do we do? They're operating at a $27 million deficit this year in the Colorado Athletic Department, fueled by the NIL expenses for players who aren't good enough, and a coaching contract with Deion Sanders that runs through 2029 that was fueled by what he did in his second season on the job with Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders. I mean, North Carolina's in the same boat. I believe if they could walk away from Bill Belichick without a $30 million buyout, they would. Now, part of it is admitting, hey, we rolled the dice on one of the greatest NFL coaches of all time, and it just doesn't work. You know why it doesn't work? Because it's about players. It's not about coaches at the college level. You got to have the right players, and they have whiffed on getting the right players, and that falls on Belichick directly, but also on GM Mike Lombardi, who was the guy out there finding the players. They didn't find good enough players. I think they'd get out of that in a heartbeat if they could. So I go back to the Lane Kiffin conundrum. Teams feel like they got to throw all this money at coaches who are showing anything that looks positive because they don't want to lose him to somebody who's going to swoop in and pluck him away during a season. The whole thing is a mess. It's a chaotic reality that the NCAA has allowed, and they want someone else to fix it for them. And I enjoy college football less and less because I believe that the people in charge of it either are inherently corrupt or they don't know what they're doing, or a combination of both.
You know what it is? It's a boondoggle. And on that note, I'll call you next week.
See you, Paul.
See you, bud. Mike Florio. That was fantastic. Mike Florio, ProFootballTalk.com. 10 o'clock, 9 to noon, continues after the